Today I'll be showing you how to design this 3-page website using all free tools and WordPress. You won't need to purchase any themes, plugins, or creative apps in order to create this 3-page website on your own. So I'm logged into my SiteGround hosting account. I'm going to navigate to the Websites tab, and we're going to start off by clicking the New Website button. So from here, you can either buy an existing domain through SiteGround if you're using SiteGround hosting. You can connect your hosting to an existing domain that you already own, or you can set up a free temporary domain, which is what I'll do here. So I'll click Select. It will assign you your free temporary domain, and just click Continue. And now we're going to create a brand new website, so we'll select Start New Website. And finally, we're going to choose WordPress as our application. Now it's going to ask you to set up your login. So this is how you log into the back end of your WordPress website, also known as the WP admin area. So I'm just going to type in an email address. And then for the password, we can generate a strong password. And there you'll see it'll display here and tell us it's strong, or you can manually type in a password. I'm going to go with the generated password and click Continue. It's going to try to upsell you on Site Scanner. I'm just going to click Finish. And now it's going to spend the next 1 to 2 minutes creating your WordPress website on your host. And now SiteGround has finished installing WordPress onto our domain. It will probably take most of that 2 minutes that it estimates. And then it's going to give you some options. You can view your current site. So this is just going to be a template because we haven't done anything yet, or you can log in to the WP admin area. That's what we're going to do. Now, if your host does not take you directly to the WP admin area, just type in your domain name, so whatever your site is, .com/WP-admin, and that will take you to the login page. So here it's going to welcome us to the WordPress website and ask if we want to walk through the wizard. I'm going to exit the wizard because it doesn't really do anything special. And here we are on the WordPress dashboard work area. So the first thing I'm going to do is disable a plugin that SiteGround installs. So deactivate SiteGround Central, just so everybody's WordPress website looks the same. Let's go back to dashboard. So now we're back on the dashboard work area, and this time it looks like the default. So next, what I want to do is set my theme. We are going to be using the 2024 theme for this tutorial. This is a free theme that comes with WordPress. It's also what's called a block theme, which means it works well with the Gutenberg block editor. That is WordPress's default website builder. There are other third-party website builders out there. Most of them you have to pay for certain features. So this is going to be the free default website builder that comes with WordPress, and in my opinion, it is perfectly adequate in designing a professional website. So to set your theme, we're going to go to Appearance Themes. And this is already the theme that's installed here on my website, but you can always go to Add New Theme. And here you'll see all of the available themes inside of WordPress. The ones that have the green check mark means it's already installed on your site. And you're going to see some other themes on here. The ones that come from third parties are usually going to be freemium themes, and that simply means that they are free at first, but once you want to use certain features, you have to pay for the premium version. And pretty much all these companies know exactly what features you're going to want in the end, so they hide all those features behind a paywall. But if you go with the 2024 theme or 2023 or anything with 20 whatever, so 2019, etc., those themes are going to be the default WordPress themes, and those are going to be free all the time. If you wanted to activate a different theme, just hover over that theme. As long as it's installed on your site, you can click the Activate button. Always make sure that after you install a new theme, you click the Activate button to activate it. You can also go to Appearance Themes, and here you'll see a list of all the themes available in your website. It also lets you do a live preview, but that usually doesn't work because each new iteration of a theme is going to have a totally different layout, so your content typically isn't going to fit into the new theme. That being said, the best time to set up your theme is at the very beginning before you have any content. That way you don't have to go in and tweak things or delete things, add things, whatever. Now that we have our theme set up, let's come over here to plugins, and we're going to quickly add a plugin. So plugins are exactly what they sound like. They are features that you plug into WordPress. I do go into more detail in my WordPress Simplified course, but basically they just extend the functionality of your website. Same thing with themes. Some plugins are free, some are going to be premium, and a lot of themes are going to be freemium. So let's come over here to Add New Plugin. And I'm going to come over here to the search bar and type create block theme. So this is a plugin that's developed by the WordPress team. You'll see it right here. I'm going to click install now. And you can do a lot of things with this plugin, including uploading custom third-party fonts to your website, and you can save custom styles you create for your WordPress website, and that just makes it easier to use later. We're going to get into the styles part right now. So we have this plugin installed. Let's just click activate to make sure it is activated. And now we're good to go on that front. That's how you install plugins in WordPress. So now that we've downloaded this plugin, the next thing I want to do is I want to import the fonts that I want to use for my website. So there are a couple of different tools you can use to explore fonts. I like to use one called FontJoy. It's a free, supposedly AI-powered or machine learning-powered font generator. It's going to generate different combinations of fonts, as you can see here. Just click the generate button and it'll generate font pairs. And then you can always lock a font if you like it and continue generating the other two fonts. And then once you find the font you like, just click on this little dial looking thing here and it'll tell you what font it is. And you can then, let me exit out of here, go on to Google Fonts and find that font for free. So these are all Google fonts. And one font that I like is this font here, DM Serif Display. So just click download family to download the font family to your computer. It'll download this as a zip file here. So right click on the zip file and click extract all, and that will leave you with a normal looking folder here. So I have two fonts. I have the DM Serif Display, which is a Google font for my headings, and Libre Baskerville, which is also a Google font for my paragraph text. So let's navigate back to the WordPress website. And the first thing I'll do before I upload my fonts is just deactivate my security plugin. That'll make sure that I don't have any issues actually importing the fonts. And now we'll go to Appearance, Manage Theme Fonts, and this will only display if you have the Create Block Theme plugin enabled or activated. So here you're going to see all of the fonts that are currently installed with our theme. And then up top, you'll see it says Add Google Font or Add Local Font. So Add Google Font allows you to search through the list of Google fonts here. And let's just click on a random font here. It'll give you a preview. You can select all the fonts and add them to your site, or just select individual fonts and add them to your site. Or let's go back. The better option for SEO is to add a local font, so it'll be locally hosted on your website. So if I click Add Local Font, now we can upload a font, which is what we just downloaded from Google Fonts. So let's start off with our heading font. You can see the font files they will accept here. So let's go to Choose File. And I've already navigated inside of this font folder here. And then we have two different instances of this font. So let's go with the regular one to start. You'll see it'll give us the name of our font, the font style it comes with, and the font weight. And then you also get a preview over here. So let's click Upload to your theme. And if you get a red error message, again, you probably will have to go in and disable your security plugin, which is what we have disabled right now. So let's just go ahead and click Choose File and upload the italic version of this font as well in case we need that. So I'll click Upload Font to your theme. And finally, let's upload the different versions for our paragraph text. So let's navigate back over here to our main folder and then to the Libre Baskerville, and we'll go regular, click Upload, choose File, Italic, Upload, choose File, Bold, and Upload. So now when we click the back button here, you're going to see we now have the two new font families. We have the DM Serif Display with the two different versions of that, and we have the Libre Baskerville with the 3 variants as it says here, and you'll also see it listed over here. Once all of your fonts are installed, now we have to enable the security plugin once again, just to make sure that our site is nice and secure. So come back over to Plugins, and for Security Optimizer, click the link labeled Activate. You'll see a message right here saying that the plugin is activated. All right, so with the fonts now uploaded to our theme, we can get to styling the theme. So what we want to do is go to Appearance Editor, And this is going to take us to what's called the site editor. This is where we can perform site-wide edits, or in other words, we can basically add styles that are going to apply across the entire site, not just one page of the site. And so this is the site editor, and what I'll do first over here on the navigation is I'll just come over here to Styles. And here you're going to see all of the preloaded default styles that come with this theme. So you can cycle through those, and if you want to apply one of them, just click Save. But I'll just come up top to the default here and then click inside this window to enter the actual editor. So this is kind of a quasi-block editor, except it's been tweaked for the site editor. You don't need to know all that terminology, just know that the site editor here is where you're going to make site-wide changes. So what I'll do is come over here to the top right where you see this little styles icon and click on that. So now I can come over here to typography, and because we just uploaded those fonts to our website, now we can customize the fonts here in our theme or inside of our templates. So let's go with the text option here first. This is going to be just for the standard text, paragraph text. And the font right now is set to Inter, but I can click the drop down and let's change this to Lieber Baskerville. So there you can see the new font. And you could change the size of this as well if you wanted to. So you can change this to large, extra large, medium, small, whatever you want to do. Or you can come over here to this little custom size area and you can change this based on REM, or you can go with a different format here, pixels or EM. REM just ensures that when you're using different browsers, different devices, whenever the size of your web page shrinks to fit that device, the text is sort of going to auto adjust, so it's not always the same size. If I just set this to something like 40 pixels, for example, it would remain 40 pixels even on a mobile device. So I'm just going to click to exit out of here and we'll keep everything else the same. So let's go back and now let's update our headings. So for the headings text, instead of going through and editing each version or each instance of the headings, I'll stick with the all option and just change the font here of all of our headings throughout the site to DM Serif Display. And there you can see that new font. If you wanted to, you can also change the appearance, so maybe it's more bold or it's italic, whatever you want to do. So let's come back up and hit the back button. So links, captions, and buttons are pretty much going to use whatever text is set here as the paragraph text, so we don't need to change that typography. Let's just hit the back button and return here to the styles page. So next what I want to do is edit the colors across my site. This is super important for the way our design will look. So let's click on colors and that's going to take you here. So what you have is you have your site palette. This is going to be the colors that display across your site as you're making edits to various sections or blocks of your site. And then you also just have the colors for the main elements like your text color, your paragraph text, your background, so whatever your main background is across your site, the links, the captions, so whenever you have a photo with captions underneath, your buttons and your headings. So we'll tweak some of these, but first we're going to tweak our palette. So we'll click on palette. So it will take you to this solid tab here, and then it'll just give you all these random palettes, and you can hover over them and see what they're called. An easier way I like to look at these palettes is to come up top here to color options and click show details. So now you can see what everything is. It's still not super descriptive as to what each one of these colors applies to, but you can get kind of an idea just by scrolling down the page here and just seeing the various elements on here. So that still doesn't give you a great idea, but it gives you some idea. So what I want to do is change these colors to my brand's colors. Some of you might already have branding guidelines with an entire palette set. Some of you may have nothing. If you have absolutely nothing, what I recommend you use is a website called Humint. So Humint is another AI machine learning somewhat driven color palette generator. It's basically going to use color theory to help you come up with different color palettes. You can also use a website called coolers.co, but that does have a limit as to how many colors you can generate with the free version now. But here on Humint, I recommend navigating over to Illustration and then Illustration 3. And the reason I say that is it's going to allow you to generate up to 11 different colors. And I've got each one of these locked, but you can unlock the colors, which they do start off unlocked by default. click generate and just lock the colors you like as you go, and keep clicking generate until you come up with 11 different colors you like. Once you have all these colors, you can click on each individual color and get the hex code here. So just click copy code. In this case, this is just pure white. And then come over here, and for the base, we're going to paste that white color. And we're just going to go down the line and just sort of see what we need next. So base 2, so that's going to be a slightly off-white color. So come over here to Humint. This is going to be the closest version of that. So you can copy that code, come back here, go to base 2, Control V to paste. So next we have a contrast color. You want it to be contrasted to the base, so a darker color or the darkest color. So let's come over here to Humint. That for us could be this color here. You could also go with this color. Let's go with this one here. So copy code, and we're just going to paste that here. Next we have contrast 2, so another dark color, not quite as dark. Let's go with this one now. I'm going to try to go through this quickly. Contrast 3, slightly lighter contrast. So let's go with this one here, or actually let's go with this one. That might be too dark, but that's okay. So now we get into accent colors. So these can start to be a little bit more colorful. And let's come back over here. Let's go with this color here, this gold color. So accent. And then you have accent 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the rest of these are all accent colors. So you can pretty much just add these nice, bright, colorful colors in at random. So now we've got 10 colors. As I said, there's 11 total that Humint will generate. So you can cut one of them out if you don't like it. So whatever the weakest link is, you can always come back in here and just tweak this. But once you're ready, just click done. You can also add a custom color here. So if you really want to keep that 11th color, click the plus icon, add that 11th color here, and then click done. So in this case, we're just going to get rid of it because I don't necessarily need that. But now let's hit the back button. So now we've got our colors right here. So now is a good time to use the palette we just created to set our colors. So for the text, by default, it'll set it to the contrast color. I'm fine with that. The background will be set to base 1. You can also go base 2 if you prefer a slightly darker color there. Let's just keep this at base 1 for now. Your links you can set to whatever color you want. So let's go with this contrast 2 just to get a slightly different color. I'll leave captions for now. We're not going to need those for this tutorial. The buttons I want to set to this nice gold color. And that's actually the text, so let me make sure this is a dark contrasty color. And then for the background, we can go gold with that. And you'll see when I hover my mouse over this, it'll automatically select a nice hover color and then make sure the text is contrasted against that color, so it's going to change it to a white text. And then finally, if you want a different color for your headings, you can set that color here. I'm going to leave this set to the default contrast color. So again, you can scroll down, see the differences here. Just a couple of differences in some of the colors. But now let's click the back button. We're going to leave everything else as it is, and I'm going to come over here and click the Save button. And you're going to see here a little checkbox, so that's just telling you that these styles are going to apply across anywhere where there are instances of these styles. In this case, it's a global style, so that's going to be site-wide. And I'll click Save, and now our site has been updated. So while we're in here, we can also edit the header. You're going to see the header is actually surrounded by this pinkish color, pinkish purple. So that means it is a synced pattern, which means that there are multiple instances of this header across our site. And anytime we edit one instance of this header, we have the option to save it across all instances. So let's click on this header to edit it. So we're clicked on it, which means it's selected, but we have to click on an element to edit that element. So this is actually going to be our site logo. So if you have a logo for your business, you can upload it here. If you don't have a logo, I recommend using a program like Inkscape to create a nice vector logo, and then you can export that to a file type that supports a transparent background like a PNG image. So you can get Inkscape for free here from their website, inkscape.org. So of course I've done the logo ahead of time. So what I can do is just click this little button to upload the logo. That's going to take us to our media area, our media library for WordPress. This is totally empty because this is a new site. So I can drag and drop files from my computer here, or I can click select files and just search through my computer for a logo file. So what I'll do, since I have this folder open already, is just find the logo I want to use. So let's go with this logo here. Click and drag it into the WordPress media library and you'll see it light up blue. So just release the mouse. And I always recommend describing your images inside the alt text just for SEO purposes. So let's go Roastera Coffee Denver Cafe logo. And we can just add the accent there. So I'll click select. You'll see that the dimensions of this are 400 by 122, maybe a little slightly larger than it needs to be. You don't want this being like 1,000 pixels. That's going to take up too much room and slow down your website. So 400, click select. You'll see it added up top here. So we can just increase the size of this. And if you wanted to see the precise measurements as to how big this is, right now we're in this little style sidebar. You can click over here on the settings sidebar. And now you'll see under settings, you have image width, and we can just set that to something like 150. We're going to get into more of this stuff as we design our website. But right here we have our site title, which we haven't edited yet. But even if I did edit this and I had the proper site title, I wouldn't want this displayed here. So under options, I'm going to click delete, get rid of that. And then we have our navigation over here, which we're going to edit later. I'm not going to get into that right now. But we have our heading customized, so now I can click save. You're going to see here that it's going to ask if you really want to update this across the entire site for all instances of your header. I'm okay with that, so I'll click save. And now you'll see it says site updated. So let's get out of here. Let's come over here to the WordPress W. That's enough editing styles for now. We're going to click the WordPress W again to return to the dashboard. So now let's get into the fun stuff. Let's get into editing or designing our actual website pages. So I can always navigate over to the pages section of WordPress to see what pages are already on my website. Right now we just have default pages that came with this theme. And I can come over here and click add new page, or I can always just go to the top of WordPress and click the plus new icon and then just go to page. Either way, it'll take me to the same place. So it's going to take me here to the Gutenberg block editor. It's just called the block editor for short. So I'm going to exit out of the little walkthrough, and it's going to try to get me to choose a pattern, which is basically a page template. I don't want to use any of these patterns, so I'm going to exit out of here. We will use some patterns because you can have patterns just be small sections, so we'll be doing that. But we're going to design this page from scratch. So right now, let's name our page. So I'll click on here and we'll name this home. So next, let's add our first design element to the page here. So all I have to do is click on here, and what I want to do is add a hero image, which is a very common design element for web pages, especially a home page. So I can insert a hero image here using something called a block. So blocks are basically building blocks for designing your website, and they require basically zero coding. You can code with them if you want to customize them a bit and you know how to code, but you don't need to do that. So to insert a block here, I can either use the little plus icon, which is the block inserter. I can start to type, which will automatically create a paragraph block. Or if I delete all that, I can follow the instructions here and click / on the keyboard. And in this case, the block I'm looking for is called the cover block. So I'll click to add the cover block right here, and that's going to transform that little area. And now we get some settings here for the cover block. And you'll also see we get some settings over here in what's called the block settings sidebar. For starters, I know I want this to be the full width of my web page. So let's come up top here to this toolbar and click the alignment icon and change this to full width. Next, I know I want this to have a background image. So what I can do is I can upload an image right here. I can also choose from any of the palettes we just set up. So let's just click upload. Let's navigate back to my folder with all of my different design elements in here. So here I have my Roastera coffee cover image, and I actually edited this image inside of a program called GIMP, the GNU Image Manipulation Program. It's basically like Photoshop, except it's free, and it's developed by a community of volunteer developers, so it's free and open source. So you'll see I've edited this down to 1920 by 1080. I probably could have even gone smaller than that. But it also says it's a Chrome HTML document. That is a WebP file. WebPs are a little bit more condensed than a JPEG file while still looking the same. So it saves you some room on your web page, which means it's going to load faster for your visitors, which is good for SEO. So I'm just going to double click on that to add this into my WordPress website. And now we have a cover block with a nice background image. Instead of using this block that it automatically inserts here, what I like to do is click the options and just delete that block because for whatever reason it doesn't operate properly, doesn't work properly. So what I want to do now with this cover block is I want to add a heading to this, then a paragraph text, and then I want to add a button to this. So 3 separate blocks. To keep these blocks organized, I'm going to add them into another block, which is called a group. So you can have a group block, and then inside that group, you can have multiple blocks. So let's start off with the group here. I'll type /group. We'll click to insert that group block. It's going to ask me to choose my layout. I'll go with a standard layout. So now I get this little plus icon, and I also get the option to align this. So let's go with a wide width on the alignment here. And then I'm going to click the plus icon to add a block. And the first block I want to add is right here. It's the heading block. So we'll click to add that. So I'll navigate to this document I have with all of my website copy, and I'm just going to copy the first line of text here. And coming back to my block, Control-V to paste. And right now this is set to an H2 heading, and the reason for that is that WordPress thinks that this is my topmost heading, this is an H1 heading, everything else on the page should be an H2, but we're actually going to delete this off of the template momentarily here. So this is actually going to be our first heading, which means this should be the H1. So I can just come over here and change this to H1. So once I've done that, I'm going to click at the end of this text and hit the Enter key to start a new line. And you'll see here, it's now allowing us to insert another block here. But by default, blocks are going to be paragraph blocks. So if we're just going to type a paragraph, which we are right now, we can just type it here instead of searching for a new block. So let's come back to our document. And I'm just going to copy the text I've created ahead of time and Control-V to paste. So now we'll hit the Enter key again. And now we're going to add a button. So I'll type /, and you'll already see it says buttons here, so I can click on that. And for the button, I'm going to add the text, Get More Info. And then you can see you can also link this button. I already know because I've planned this out ahead of time what I want to link this to, so I can click the link button. And if you wanted to link this to a page, for example, your contact page, you could type /contact. That'll take you to the contact page. Or if you wanted to link lower on the same page, which is what I want to do in this case, I can type the hashtag symbol or the number symbol, and then type the name of the section, which in this case will be video intro. And then hit the Enter key, and now this button will link to video intro. So we've made some changes here. You'll see it's automatically saving our draft. You saw that little check mark, or you can click Save Draft. And to preview what the site looks like, you can click this little preview icon. You can see different devices here, so you can go tablet, mobile, or come back to desktop. And if you want to see this in its own little tab without all the block editor stuff, you could see what our website looks like right now. So looking pretty good, but there's some obvious things we need to fix. For one, there's way too much space right here. Then we have the home title up top here, which I don't like. And then finally, we have our content. I want this content basically being all the way up against our main navigation here, the main header. So let's exit out of there. To get rid of this home header here, we can't simply just click on it and delete it. What we have to do is we have to edit the template that we're using right now. So you'll see over here inside the Page tab of the block settings sidebar. So this little icon here, Page tab. Under Template, we have Pages, so we'll click on that. Right now it's using the default template, so let's just click Edit Template. And now it's going to take us to the template editor. So the reason we have so much space is we have all of this stuff here just below the main header. So what I want to do is come over here to what's called the document overview or the list view and find that group that contains all that content. So we don't need any of this. Well, actually we need the main content here, but we don't need what's inside of this group. So if I expand that group, you'll see we have a spacer, we have a title block, another spacer, and a featured image. We don't need any of that for the home page or for any of our pages on our website. So come up top here to where it says group, click options, and come down here and click delete. So that'll get rid of all that. Now we can come over here, you'll see there's this little dot and it says publish. So we're going to click publish, and it's going to tell us we're editing a template, and it's going to apply those changes across all instances of that template. So any page that uses this template. So we'll click save. You'll see it says site updated. And now we have this little back button here. We can click to return to the block editor. And now we are back to editing our home page. So that takes a little bit of getting used to. You will have to probably design some sites or work in WordPress for a little while to get used to the workflow there of doing all that. But what I can do now is come over here to preview our site in a new tab, and now you'll see that the hero image here is right up against the main navigation, and it looks a lot better. So the last thing I want to do before I move on is make this a little wider and just sort of align this to the left side here of the page so it doesn't look squished and centered and sort of awkward here. So let's exit out of there. Let's exit out of the list view. So what I need to do is click on here. I want to select the group that contains all of the elements. So inside the toolbar, you'll see this little select group icon. I'll click on that. And then over here under layout inside of the settings, so the block settings sidebar, we have this tab here, the settings tab. We're going to change the content to % for the units and change this to 65%. So that's going to make it a little wider there. And then for justification, we're going to align this to the left. And let's just save the draft, preview what this looks like. So now that's left aligned. So that spacing was a little tight. What we want to do is add some spacing between this content and the sides of our web page or the size of the browser. So what we can do is we can add something called padding here. So what I want to do is make sure I select the outer group block. You can always come over here to the list view and expand the cover until you get to the group block and just click on it. That will select the group block. So with the group block selected, come over here to the block settings sidebar and come over here to styles. We're just going to scroll down here till we get to padding, and then we're just going to increase the padding here, and we're going to increase it to 5. Click Save Draft, and then let's preview this in a new tab. And now the spacing looks better. So what we're going to do as we continue editing our website is we're just going to make sure the padding for all groups on all sections is set to 5. And that's just going to maintain the consistency of the spacing across our entire website. So let's exit out of here. What we'll do now is move on to the next section. So this is going to be like a little video intro section. To save some time, I'm going to use a pattern for this part. So what I can do is come back to the list view and make sure we have the cover block selected. Click Options and then click Add After. So that's just going to add a standard paragraph block. But now what I want to do is click the block inserter and come over here to Patterns. And now we can explore all the patterns that come with WordPress by default. Again, patterns are just sort of like block templates. So what I can do is just click on a category, and that's going to give me some previews here. And I actually like this block here. So what I'll do is just click on that services block, and it's going to automatically insert that there onto my web page. So let's exit out of the block inserter and scroll down. And right now, if you guys are a little confused, like I don't know when to use the block inserter, this little blue button, I don't know when to use the on-page stuff, you can use all of it. It's just basically whatever is more convenient for you at that time, because you can also click the button here to add a block, and then you can type in like services, and it's going to give you services patterns here. So there's multiple ways to insert blocks or patterns onto your web page. I just use the list view and the block inserter in that case because it's easier to insert that exactly where I want and not have to mess around with things. So coming back here to this pattern, I actually want this image here to be a video. So I'm going to click on the image, I'll click the options and click delete. That's going to give us a blank block here, so I'll click on that. And now I'm going to type video. And we're going to put a YouTube video here, so I'll choose the YouTube block. And now it tells me I can enter a YouTube URL here and it'll place a video there. So I'm just going to use this random YouTube video from James Hoffman. He's a big coffee guy, award-winning barista. I don't own rights to this. This is purely for demonstration purposes. So I'll click share and click copy and come over here and just paste that YouTube video and click embed. So now we have a nice YouTube video here. And then we have some heading text, paragraph text, and our services, a button here. So I have done this text ahead of time, which means I'm just going to copy the text from my document, paste it here. And again with the paragraph text, copy, paste it here. And then for the text, I'm going to type view amenities. And once again, I do want to link this to a section lower on the page. So I'll click link. And for the URL, I'll type the hashtag symbol and I'll just type amenities. So we're going to create a section later called amenities. Hit the enter key. And you may remember at this point that this linked to a section called video intro. Well, this is actually that section. So what I'll do is just click on the actual group itself. So you can always tell you have the group selected because it's got this little icon here, or once again, go to document overview and just click on where it says group. So with the group block selected, I can scroll down here to where it says advanced and expand that. And you'll see something called HTML anchor. This is where I can now add that video intro link that I had up here. So you'll remember it just said video-intro. So by adding that here to this block, now when I click this button, it's going to take me right here to this block lower on the page. We'll show that in action momentarily. But next, what I'll do is come over here to styles. And I just want to change the background color here. Let's go with the more subtle color like this one here. Everything looks good, so I'll click Save Draft. And the spacing that came with this pattern by default is the same 5x5 spacing I used up here. So if I were to click on this group, which I'm already clicked on it, and I scroll down, you'll see the padding by default was already set to 5x5. That's why I went with 5x5 spacing. I knew that this pattern already used that spacing, so it just kind of saves some time if I want to use the default WordPress patterns. So we save that draft. Let's just preview that. And you can see our web page is coming along. If I click on this link, it takes me here to lower on the page. So let's exit out of here. And a quick bonus tip here, if I wanted to make the background of this cover stay in place while I scrolled, that's something called a parallax effect. What I can do is just click on this cover block here and just click on the actual select cover icon to make sure you are selected on the cover block. If I come over here, you'll see I have an option called fixed background. I can click on that. And now when I scroll my mouse, the image stays in place as I scroll, and that creates a cool parallax effect. So let's move on now to the next section below here. So let's come over to the list view. We're going to click on this group. You'll see this is labeled as video intro, so I know that that is the HTML anchor for this. I can also click on the options and click rename right here, and we can rename this video intro. Click save. So that helps us stay more organized. But what I also want to do is I want to add a new block below this block here, the video intro group. So inside of the options still, I can click add after, and that's going to add a new block. So once again, I'm going to start off with a group block. I'll go with the standard layout. I'll set the width here to wide width. And I also know under styles that I want this to have the same padding as everything else. And now what I'll do is click the plus icon here for this group block, and I'll start off with a heading for this section. And I know the heading for this is why our coffee, ? And I do want to center align this. Let's hit the Enter key to create a new line, a new block, and I'll type /, and now I want to add a divider, which is called a separator inside of the block editor. So I'll start to type separator, click on the separator block. Now we have the separator. And over here, the color of this, I want to be our dark contrast color, so I'll change the color. And now I want to add another block after this, so I'll click the options icon and just go to add after. And that will add a blank block. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add what's called a column block, and that's because we want to separate this section into 3 separate columns. First of all, let's close out of the list view. You can use the shortcut key Alt-Shift-O, and you do have to hit that twice for whatever reason. So Alt-Shift-O will close that out. And now we'll type / and start to type columns. And now I'm going to click on the columns block. Let's come over here and go with the 33, 33, 33 to split that up into thirds. And this is going to start us off with a blank block. So what I want to do now is I want to add 3 different blocks to each one of these columns. But instead of doing that every single time, I'm just going to add the 3 blocks to the first column and then just duplicate that for the other 2 columns, and that'll save us some time. So let's start off by clicking to add a block. We're going to start off with an image, which is going to be an icon. So we're going to click Image and click Upload. And of course, I've created the icons ahead of time. So I'll navigate to my folder here. I created WebP icons. I did that using a combination of stock icons from Google Fonts. Google Fonts does supply you with icons. Open it up into Inkscape to change the color, and then exported it out of Inkscape as a WebP file. So let's start off here with this first icon. So it's a little coffee icon. And I already did it as the purple accent color using our branding colors. So with that icon selected, let's click on Align and align that to the center. And now we want to add something after that, so we'll click the options icon and we'll go to Add After to make sure we add a block into the right place. So now we're going to type / and add a heading here. And so the first heading will be Brewed Daily. And then we're going to hit the Enter key and type / and this is going to be a paragraph, so actually we don't need / and I just added dummy text here. So navigating to my copy document, I'm going to Control-C to copy the dummy text, Control-V to paste. And now I want to center align the text and also fix the spacing. So let's start off with the paragraph text. We'll click Align to Center. We'll click on the heading text and align that to center. Also, I want to shrink this because this is an H2 heading. So I want this to be a smaller heading. We'll go H3. And finally, let's click on the column to select the column. We're going to click on Select Columns, plural, to select all 3 columns. So we're going to change the width of this to wide width, make it a little wider. And then I'm actually going to select the entire group block. And once I do that, I'm going to change the alignment here to full width. That way everything's nice and wide across the screen. This will still be the correct spacing, padding-wise, as you'll see in the preview. So now what I'll do is click back on this column and just click to make sure I select that column. So now I'll click Options, and now I'm just going to duplicate this. And you'll see it's going to duplicate it and shift it over. And then I need to do that one more time, so let's come over here to the options and duplicate that again. So now we have the 3 columns, but it's added these as additional columns, so we actually have 5 total. Just come over to your list view and click on these 2 columns that aren't being used and just click Delete. So now we're back to 3. So now we can edit these columns, so let's click on the image to start off for this icon and replace this. So come over to Replace. We're going to open the media library and just click and drag that icon here into the media library. So there's our icon. I'll click Select. Now let's change this text here to Sourced Responsibly. And then we're going to do the same for this. We're just going to replace the image here. So you can open the media library. And then we'll change this to Tastes Great. We're going to leave the dummy text as it is because, you know, it's dummy text. So now we're going to make sure that we select the group. So that is going to be all elements here inside of this section. And we're going to come over here to Styles, and I'm going to change the background color here So you can cycle through these and see which one looks best. I like this one the best, but the issue is that all the text is black and it's hard to read. So just come over here to text. So that'll change the color of the paragraph text. To change the color of the heading text, just select each one and just change it to white. And then come up top here, and we're actually going to change this heading to white as well. And we did change this to black originally, but let's come over here and just update that to white. So I'll click Save Draft. All right, so we're making great progress with our home page. Most of the work with the design stuff will take place on the home page. The other pages will fly by. If you're still here watching this, pat on the back. But the next section we want to do is we want to place an amenities section below the Why Our Coffee section. So what I can do is simply click below this section we just created, and I'm going to start off once again by typing group to add a group block. And let's just change the width of this real quick to full width. And then we're going to set this as the standard layout. And let's just come over to the Styles tab and just increase the padding here to 5. Make sure that's all set. Once we've done that, let's click and start off by adding a heading, which you'll see right here. So this is just going to be Cafe Amenities. And you can always select that text, right-click, and add the little accent. Now we're going to center align this and hit the Enter key, and now we're going to add a separator. So just type separator, add that there. Change the color of the separator to a darker color, and now we're going to insert a block after that separator. So now we're going to have 2 columns for this. It'll be a 2-column list. So we're going to start off by just creating a block called a column block. We're going to split this block in half, but first let me just set the width of this to wide width. It's just easier to do it now. And then we'll go with the 50-50 split. So the left side, we're going to add a list. You can see it right here on my computer, or you could type list and it'll be right here. And I did make the list ahead of time, so let's just copy that. And we're going to paste as plain text. And let's just get rid of these extra bullet points here. And we want to increase the size of this, so let's just change the typography. Let's just select it all and then change it to large. And now come over here and click on this right side block. If the little plus icon doesn't appear when you click over there, come over here to your document overview, expand the columns block, and click on that second column block there. So we're going to click and once again add the list, copy the text, paste as plain text, select all that, and increase the size to large. So now we have our amenities. A couple of things we want to do to style this a little bit better. So first off, let's go to our list view and select the item labeled list. So this is our list block. We're going to change the style of this to checkmark. And we'll come over here, do the same thing. So let's just select the list here from the list view, change that to checkmark. And the next thing we're going to do is just add a gradient as the background color. So what you can do is just click select column, select columns. So you can select an individual column here, and then you can select the entire columns block, so both columns. But then we're going to click select group. So that is going to be like the outermost block that we have here. And once the group block is selected, come over to styles and select background. You can go with the solid color if you prefer, but just to demonstrate, I'm going to go with a gradient color. First, I'm going to just steal this hex code real quick because we didn't do the gradient settings earlier. And I'll just choose a random theme gradient here. And what I'll do is change the color of this gradient to that color I just stole. So now we're going to have a nice gradient color based on our branding colors. And let's just save this draft and preview this in a new tab. And you'll see we actually have a space here and a space here. I can fix that real quick. But there's our cafe amenities, which looks pretty good. Let's exit out of here. Sometimes, for some reason, what WordPress wants you to do is manually set the margin here. So I'm on the group block. If I scroll down, the margin's already set to 0. Sometimes you just have to drag it up and back down, and that'll go away. So same up top here. If I select this group, I go over here to the Styles tab, and I just drag that margin or even just click on it once, the margin will go away, save the draft, and now the margins are gone. So that looks a lot better. Why it does that, I don't know, but it seems to do that a lot. So the last section I'll add to the homepage for now is going to be the contact section. We're actually going to make this as a synced pattern, which means that we can add it to future pages and not have to go through and re-edit it every single time or recreate the layout every single time. So what I'll do is just click below the cafe amenities block. And once again, you know what I'm doing. I'm adding a group block. We'll set this to full width. We'll go normal layout. And then we'll come over here to the styles tab, and we're just going to add the padding before I forget. So we'll come over here, we're going to click to add a new block, so we'll go with the heading block. So we'll add the title here and just center align it, and I'll hit the enter key to add a paragraph block, and we're just going to copy the text that I created for the paragraph text. So Control V to paste. Then hit the enter key /button, and we'll add a button, and I'll type contact us. Let's center up the button itself. I'm going to link this to a future contact page that we haven't created yet. So /contact, that's all you need to type. It'll automatically take you to whatever your domain name is /contact. You just got to make sure that you name your contact page contact. Let's center up this text here, and let's click on the group block itself, and we're going to change the background color of this. Let's go with this purplish color. You could change the color here to white if you want to for the text. You'll see here I'm getting a warning that the color combination might be hard to read. I don't know if white is any better. It is slightly different there, but it's sort of on the cusp. You can go either way. It's not going to be great contrast either way. I'll stick with the dark color text for this. So let's just make sure that background color is correct. And once again, you've got this little gap here. So you may need to just come down here to the margin and click on that once, and it'll get rid of it. As I said, I want to save this section as a synced pattern. So to do that, click on the options here and come down to where it says create pattern. And I'm going to name this contact section. And you can add new categories, or you can use existing categories. So I've got a contact category here. I can just add it to that. Make sure the synced toggle is enabled. That will ensure that this is a synced pattern. So anytime you edit this on one instance, it'll edit it across all instances of the synced pattern. And click create. Now you'll see the little purple marking indicating this is a synced pattern, and it also says it over here. And if I go to the block inserter and I go to patterns, you'll see it under my patterns here and also under the contact patterns. So we'll click Save Draft. We'll preview this in a new tab. So our home page has come together. I am going to go in here later on in the video, and I'm going to add a section here for our latest posts, but we don't have any blog posts yet, so we don't have anything to add there right now. So we're going to leave it alone for now. But scrolling down here to the bottom of the home page, you'll see that the footer looks a little wonky because it's just using the default footer with all the default settings. It's not quite working here for our website. Let's exit out of there. And you'll see there's no footer here, so that's actually part of the template. So to edit that, go back to the Page tab, and then come over here to the template, and you'll see where it says Pages. Click on that, and we'll click Edit Template. You'll remember we did this earlier, so we're going back to the template editor here. But now if we scroll down, you'll see there is the footer. So I can click on this. You'll see it says Footer, and it is a synced pattern technically. And you'll see we have a couple of items here, as well as our logo. So I haven't filled out these items yet, but even if I had, I wouldn't want to keep them here. It just looks like too much. It's too busy. So what I'll do is just click on this element, and you can just click Delete. Click here, click Delete. And we can click and drag to manually resize the logo there. Or you can come over here to the block settings sidebar under Settings, and manually increase that value to 150. You can also change the little bottom line here that says Design with WordPress. Maybe you put your own name here. In this case, I'll put Davies Media Design. And you can also go through and delete these links. We don't have any of these links because this is just a 3-page website. And actually, you can just select the entire stack there and come over here to the options and click delete. And that'll get rid of that. We'll keep these for now because it looks official. And we actually do technically have a contact us page coming up. So you can change that link. Right now it's just set to the default hashtag, but I can change that to contact, click save. And that will now actually link to the contact page that we will create in the future. So let's hit publish. You'll see the elements we're updating. Hit save. That's all edited. You'll see the back button here again. Click back. And as per usual, we can preview in a new tab. I like to preview a lot if you haven't noticed. So now you could see our new footer. All right, so our homepage is done for our website. That means that when we go to our domain name, whatever that is, it's going to show the homepage, right? Well, no. So WordPress wants you to specify that you want a static page as your homepage because it could be the blog post page, could be a different page. So it wants you to basically tell it that, hey, this is the page I want to use as my homepage. You also have to do that for your blog page. So right now, when we take care of setting this as our static homepage, we're also going to take care of setting up our blog page. The problem is we don't have a blog page created yet. So first, we'll create an empty blog page, then we'll assign all that stuff. So we're going to start by exiting out of this tab. And then we're going to actually publish the homepage now, so it will no longer be a draft. So we'll click publish, and you'll see here you can actually change the visibility to private or password protected, and you can publish it immediately or you can schedule it out into the future. I'm just gonna hit publish because I wanna publish it right now. And now it's telling me that home is live and it's located at this web address, which is not just gonna be the home page, it's going to be the web address /home, which is not what we want. So let's leave this area for now. And now what we'll do is just add a new page. We're going to exit out of here. And now all I have to do for the blog page is just name this blog for now. And then come over here and click publish. And click publish again. Now we have our blog page, except there's no content on here. And WordPress doesn't yet know that this is what we want to be our blog page. So let's return here to the dashboard by clicking that W icon. So what we need to do to set our blog and home pages is navigate to Settings, Reading. So right now your home page displays your latest posts, which we don't have any posts, but what we want it to display is a static page, and we want that static page to be the home page we just created. So we'll select Home. And in place of the post page that was the home page before, now it's going to be that blog page we just created. And by the way, you'll also see here under search engine visibility, if you're creating a dummy site like I am or just a test site, you can click to discourage search engines from crawling and indexing your site so that real visitors won't show up at your site while you're building it. And I'll just hit Save Changes. So now that that's set up, if you come over here to My WordPress and Visit Site, it'll take you to your new home page. You'll see it no longer says /home. So this is now your true home page. And then your blog page, if I click on that, is now set up here, but it's just set up using the default template that WordPress 2024 comes with. So that's the next thing we got to do is we need to edit this blog page. So to edit the blog page from here, you can click Edit Page. And you'll see it's now giving us a warning. You are currently editing the page that shows your latest posts. So this is now our official blog page. The problem is we don't have any blogs to actually add in here. And by the way, over in template, it says blog home. We are going to edit the template here momentarily, but first I want to add some blogs. So just come over here and click the WordPress W to return to the pages work area. So to add a blog post, you can come over here to the area labeled posts. Right now we don't have any posts. So just like when we create a new page, we can create a post by clicking Add New Post. And just like setting a page title, we can set our blog title, except the blog title will actually display, which is what we want. So I've already created a title. I'll just paste it in here. And then when it comes to creating content, you can simply start to type your paragraph text and it'll show up here. And if you wanted to add an image in between the text, you can hit the Enter key and type /image. So just like when you're working with the block editor, you can insert blocks in here and then upload an image to this section. So I'm going to delete this and delete this paragraph text as well. I have created content ahead of time, so I'm just going to paste it in here. So Control V. So you can see here, this is just dummy text. And then once again, if I wanted to add an image, hit the Enter key, type /image. Let's upload an image to our website. And this is just going to insert it right into the blog. So let's go to our folder with all the images and scroll down to the image I want to use. So this one right here, I'll double click and that'll insert that image. So you can see here, while the image block is still selected, I can add alt text to this. So I could just put barista roasting. So it just says barista roasting coffee beans at Roastera Cafe. Again, that's for SEO purposes. And the aspect ratio you could keep set to the image's original aspect ratio, or if you want this to be a specific aspect ratio, you could set it here. If you want the image to expand on click, which is known as a lightbox, you can enable that feature. So let's come up top here to the Post tab. So this is important because we can add categories to our blog post. And categories are important because they allow you to organize your blogs, obviously based on category. You can create new categories. But you can also organize your blogs inside of blocks, and that way users can more quickly find categories. You know, maybe you have a section of your blog page that only shows things from one category, and then another section shows blogs from another category. So it just allows you to organize your content and makes things easier to find. That improves the user experience. So here under categories, let's click Add New Category. And I'm just going to make up some categories, so like coffee terminology. And you can have a parent category, but we don't really have any categories right now, so I'll keep this as the parent. So click Add New Category. Maybe we'll do like coffee basics. So let's just keep this at 2 categories for now. You also have something called tags. So a lot of people get tripped up on the differences between tags and categories. Tags allow you to drill down a little bit deeper into the details of what's discussed in this blog article. So categories is more like the macro subjects discussed in a blog. Tags are more specific things. And when you have something like a site search feature, a search bar, where people can search for content on your site, this just allows people to discover this content more easily because the tags are saying, hey, these are some of the keywords discussed inside of this blog article. So if I scroll up to the top, the name of the article is 5 coffee terms that are sure to impress your local barista. So you would think that there's going to be different barista terms discussed here, barista terminology. Maybe we talk about different coffee beans, coffee roasting techniques. So basically you could just fill this out with stuff that you talk about in the article. I'm not going to continue on that. But the last thing that you have here is the featured image. So right now it would probably use this image by default because it's the only image on the page. But if you had a specific graphic that you created for this blog article that you wanted to be viewable from places like social media or even on your main blog page on your website, you could set whatever featured image you want here. And I actually do have an image that I just created ahead of time or edited ahead of time. So this image right here, I scaled this so that it's not quite as large as you can see here. So you do want to scale your images down where possible, but let's just say, so I've kind of described what's going on in the image while using some keywords like Denver, assuming this coffee shop is in Denver, barista, some other stuff. So set featured image. Once you have everything in here that you want, just hit publish. And once again, you have some publishing options if you want to schedule this later, but I'll hit publish again. And now we have a blog post. You can see what this looks like. So this is just the default layout for blogs. It's going to be fine for this particular case. You also have comments on here. You do typically want to disable those. Otherwise, you're going to get tons of spam comments, and those are annoying. But you can always return to the post section by clicking the WordPress W and then navigating here back to posts. So I'm just going to quickly add 2 more blog posts to this. I'll fast forward through it, and then we're going to get into actually creating the structure or the layout of our blog page. Okay, so I've created the other 2 blogs so that we have 3 total. A couple of things I want to show you. Number 1, you'll see I've added some additional categories and tags to each one of these. And you can always quickly edit the categories and tags by clicking the quick edit button here. So you can check or uncheck categories, and you can type out tags here. Another thing you can do is you can quickly disable comments. So as I said, a lot of comments on any part of your website without some kind of spam filter are going to produce a ton of spam comments. So basically just uncheck allow comments, click update, and just always make sure that your pages and your blog articles do not allow for comments unless you have some kind of filter. But with our blog post created, now we can create our blog page. So there's 2 ways we can do that. We can visit the blog page via the pages section like we did before, or we can go directly to the blog template. So in the case of the 2024 theme, it uses a blog template. It doesn't allow you to design a blog page. So what we'll do is go to Appearance Editor, then we'll go to Pages, and click on Blog. And now you'll see that's going to take us here to the blog page template. So what I'll do is I'll just click on here to edit the template. And I don't want any of this stuff here. So what I'll do is I'll open up the list view, and you'll see we have this middle group here. And if I expand it, it's got all these other groups inside of it. What I'll do is just click the options for this and just click delete. And it's going to ask if you want to delete all this content in here. I'll say yes, delete, please do. So now you just have your header and your footer. So now what you can do is click the options and click add after. And then we'll type / and we'll start over with a new group. We're going to go with your standard layout. And now what I'll do is click to add a block. And let's just click Browse All. That'll open up the block inserter. And now if I come over here to Patterns and then scroll down here to Posts, and you're going to see that they have a bunch of pre-made layouts, which is going to make it really easy to create a blog page quickly. Of course, you can style this blog page like you could any other page and really customize it if you have tons of content. But if you have, just a little bit of content and you want to just quickly style it, just choose a pre-made pattern here or a pre-made layout. So when you click, it'll insert it in there. And now if I exit out of here, you'll see it's going to automatically populate this with the blogs that we've created. And it's just listing them in order of when they were created. So this one here on the left side is going to be our most recent blog that we created. And then you'll see it automatically adds a title. I can click on this title and let's just rename this. I was calling this Spill the Beans blog. And then you can also change this to an H1. You may have to come over here and reset the size of this, so that it will give you the full size of the H1 there. And if you wanted to adjust the spacing, you can click on the bigger group here and just click on the Styles tab and scroll down. It does have the 5x5 spacing we've been using throughout, but in this case, I might shrink the top padding there so there's not so much of a gap there. So now we've got this content, but let's add the contact section here that we created before, the synced pattern that we created. So let's click on the list view here. And by the way, they also call these reusable blocks. It's pretty much the same thing now. But what I'll do is just click on the group and click add after. So that adds a brand new block below there. And then I can type / and remember the name of the block was contact section, which actually pops up right here, so that's nice and convenient. So we'll click on that. That'll insert that right there. And now we're done pretty much with our blog page, so we can click save and click save again. And you guys know I like to preview this, so let's go to visit site. And there's of course the home page, but if I click blog, now we've got this nice blog page here. So let's exit out of this tab. Next up, what I'll do is I'm going to edit the site details of this, and I just want to do the site details now because it is good to have those set up. They only take a minute or so. So let's click the W to return to the site editor. and then click the W again. So now we can go to Settings, General. So now you have your site title here. We can rename this. So in this case, it'd be like Roastera Coffee Cafe. And then the tagline would be, maybe that's a little long. But yeah, there's the tagline. And now we can come down here and just click Save Changes. Now we have our site title and our tagline. All right, so we have that taken care of. Also, now that we have some blog posts on our page, we can now add that latest post section to our home page. So let's come back over here to Pages, and we're gonna edit the home page, so I'll click Edit. And now I'm going to scroll down here, and I wanna add it between these two blocks here. So what I can do is click on this block, and you'll see I have the group block selected. Let's click on the options and click on Add After. So as per usual, we'll start off with a group. Standard layout. And let's set this to the full width. Let's also come over here and increase the padding. So we'll increase both of these to 5 as per usual. And let's change the background color here. So we'll click on, actually that's a background image. You can add a background image to a group, but we're just going to go with a background color like we've been doing. And we'll go with this dark contrast color. And if you want, while we're in here, just come over here and click the little margin slider to get rid of that space on the top. So now we're going to click to add a block, and we're going to add the columns block. So we'll type column and click on columns. And we'll go with the 3366 columns block just because we want the left side to be a little slimmer than the right side. And we'll click to add a block, and we're going to start off with the heading block, which you can see here. And so I'll just type latest posts. You can't see it because it is dark text on a dark background, so we'll change this to the base color. Come back here, hit the Enter key, / and start to type separator. So we'll add a separator line there, and we're going to change the style of this to the wide line separator, and we'll change the color to a nice lighter color. Then we're going to click the options and click Add After. And now we're just going to add some dummy text here, so Control V. I've already copied that text ahead of time, and we'll change the color here to white. And one last item here, I'll hit the Enter key and type / button. Click on the button, and let's just add Read Our Blog. So now we've got a nice button there. So you can click on here, and it should display the block. If it doesn't, come over here to your list view, and you can click on that right side column right here. And of course, by the way, you can rename this. So come down here to rename, and we'll name this latest posts, just to stay a little bit more organized. So select that right column. What we're going to do is we're going to style this a little bit. We're going to give it some rounded corners and make it look nice. So we'll start off by clicking the plus sign here, and we're just going to add a group. So you can add groups inside of columns. We're going to go with the standard layout there, and you're going to get this plus icon once again. So now we're going to click, and what we want to do is add the latest posts block, so you can see it right here. So this is going to look pretty bad at first because we do have to change the colors and style this. So let's start off by changing the colors. Let's select the group, and we're going to come over here to Styles and down here to Background. So let's start off by changing the background color to the base 2 color. And we're also going to need to space this out a little bit better, so let's increase the padding. I'm just going to go to 3 for this particular block. And come down here to radius. I do want to increase the radius here. I'm just going to go with 30, so that gives us nice rounded corners. So we're going to come back here and click on this individual item here, the latest post block. So you should see a toolbar that looks like this again. Let's click on grid view to change that. So it was at list view, now it's at grid view. So you'll see it's not really displaying much content for the preview of our blog posts. Let's go ahead and fix that over here in the right side in the block settings sidebar. So let's enable the post content, which will give us a nice little blurb. We're going to decrease the number of words because we don't want it to just totally fill up the page. So I like to go down to something like 20. And we're just going to display the post date. You can also display the author name if you want. We're going to enable the featured image option so we get a nice preview of the image from the blog. And let's just change the resolution to medium just to increase the size a little bit there. And let's center align it so it doesn't show up justified to one side. And then let's also choose to link the image to the actual blog article. So you can also sort and filter your blog. So if you want to sort them newest to oldest, oldest to newest, you only want certain categories to display, as I talked about earlier. You only want certain authors to display on this page. You only want a certain number of columns, which I have it set to 3. So as I add more blogs to my website, this blog will fall off and then the next one will take the place over here. These two will shift over, or you can allow for more columns if you want more posts to display on your page. So a lot of options there. And this is really coming together, except the spacing's a little off. So let's click on the select group block. We'll click on select column and then select columns. And with the columns block selected here, let's come over to align and change this to wide width. So now the spacing looks a lot better. You'll see this block overall looks a lot better. And now we can come over here to update and just preview what this looks like. So if we scroll down, now we have a nice latest post section. And I don't think I actually linked this button, so make sure you link this to /blog. We can do that real quick. Click on here, click the link button, /blog, hit the enter key. So let's update that. And now we are good to go with the latest post section. So let's click the WordPress W to return to the pages section here. So next up, we're going to add our third and final page to our website, which will be our contact page. And to add the new page, just come over here and click Add New Page, or hover your mouse over New and click Page. So this is taking us back to the block editor. Remember, we were editing the template for our blog page before inside the site editor. When we were designing our home page, we were editing that inside of the block editor. So we're back in the block editor. So this time we're going to name this contact, just contact, not contact page, like I almost just did. So the first element we'll add, like our home page, will be a hero image, and we can do that via a cover block. So we're going to go with the full width on this, and we're going to upload an image, which of course I've created ahead of time. So we'll go with this image right here. And as I mentioned before, I don't like using the default paragraph. It has problems for some reason, so I delete that. And now we're just going to add a heading block here. And we're going to change this to H1 and get in touch or get directions. Hit the enter key and then Control V to paste the paragraph text. So like we did with the home page cover block, we're going to select the cover block itself and we're going to change this to % and set it to 65% so that the content inside this block will stretch out to 65% of the width. And then you can also fix the background so that once again we have a nice parallax scrolling effect. Totally optional and up to you. But now we're going to add a section below here. So we're going to start off with a group. We're going to go full width on that. And we're going to go the standard layout. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a 3-column layout now to this section. So we're going to, first of all, let's make sure we have the spacing set up here properly. And then we're going to click to create a new block, and you'll see here it says columns. And we're going to change this to wide width, and we'll go with the 33% for each column, so it's nice and evenly split. We're going to start off with the first column here using an image. And then we're going to upload an image here. So we'll go with this image, and this image has a pretty tall aspect ratio. So like we did before, we're going to set this to a predetermined aspect ratio. That might be a little too squished. So yeah, we'll go with the square aspect ratio. And if you want, you can make this expand on click, but that's not necessary. So now we're going to click on the middle block here. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a little section where we're going to provide the address and then a section where we provide the phone number and contact info. Obviously, this is all fake info. But we're going to start off with an icon. I think icons do help make a simple page look a little nicer. So let's go with the Our Location icon first. We're going to make sure that we center align this. We're going to add a block after. This will be a heading. So we'll just call this our location, and let's make sure this is centered up. Hit the enter key, and we're just going to type a fake address. Hit the enter key, and then we're going to make sure this is all nice and centered. And then we're going to do the same over here. So we're going, well, actually we could just duplicate this, so let's do that. Let's just come over to options and click duplicate. We'll come over to the list view. We're going to delete that extra column that gets created there. So let's click on this and let's replace the icon. So we're going to go with the nice smartphone icon. You can label the alt text on these if you want. I would do it if it was my own real website. So we'll do contact us, and then we'll do a fake phone number and a fake email. And if you wanted to link this email to an actual email, just select it and then click the link button here, and it'll automatically link it to an email. And then just click open in new tab if you don't want it to open up in your same window as your website here. So let's come over here to the group and make sure we style the background. We're going to fix the spacing here on the very top. That very annoying little, it's almost like a bug. And then last but not least, we're going to add an FAQ section to the bottom of this. So we're just going to click below here, and what I'll do is come over to the block inserter. And for this, we're just going to use a pattern. I'm going to type FAQ. So we're going to click to insert that. And then just like that, we've got a nice FAQ here. So it's got some text in here already. I'm going to leave that as is, but you guys can click on here, and just like you would edit any text, just start typing once it's all selected, and it'll automatically replace that text. So this is dummy text. As you can see, it allows you to very easily go in there and fill out the FAQs. All right, so our third page is done. Let's come over here and click publish and publish again. And now you can view the live page. And here's the FAQ. You can click and it'll expand the FAQ. So the only thing we're left with now on the design end of things is that the navigation is just all of the random pages that we've created thus far, and it's not really in any sort of order. So we do want to edit that navigation. And as per usual, there's a couple of ways you can do that. Let's just click on the WordPress W to return to the WordPress dashboard and go to Appearance Editor. Then you'll see a section here called Navigation. We can click on that. So you've got your footer navigation, which is down here, or you've got the main navigation. So let's click on that option. So here's where you can edit this. By default, it's going to give you the list of pages. If you go to rearrange this, it's going to give you a message. So this is saying that by default, whenever you create a new page, it automatically adds it to the navigation. By editing this, you are screwing that up. You have to detach it. That's totally fine. You can go in at any point and add in new pages. I like to do that manually anyway. So I'm going to click detach. And now I can rearrange these. So the home page I can put first, then the blog page, then the contact page. I don't want the sample page at all. So I'm going to remove that sample page. And now when I click save, I have my updated menu. But what if we wanted to edit this further in terms of the way it looks, or if we wanted to add new stuff to this? What we can do is click on here, and that's going to allow us to now enter into the navigation here. And now we can edit these items. So you can see we can add new links. So if you wanted to link to a third-party website or another page on your website, maybe have a link to one of your blogs on here, you can add that here. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to hit the back button. What I actually want to do is I want to delete this contact link, and I want to turn that into a button. So in WordPress 6.4 or newer, you can now add buttons to the navigation by default without coding. So what I'll do is I'm just going to click Options and click Delete. And the weird thing about this right now is you can't click this to add the button. What you have to do is come over here, back out of that area, make sure you're in navigation. Now you'll see this plus icon, click on that, and now you'll see here it says buttons, click on that. Now you get a button in your navigation. So let's name this button Contact, or you can do Contact Us, whatever you want to do. And you do have to make sure you link this or it won't work. So click link, type /contact, hit the enter key, and just like that, you now have a button in your navigation. And as with any button, you can come over here to the Styles tab and style it. So right now we've got a fill. You could just change it to an outline if you prefer. You could change the colors there, the padding, all that good stuff. So let's click Save, and you'll see it'll update our navigation menus across the site. Down there it says Site Updated. So let's just go back here to the W, and then we get this little preview link here. So here's what our website looks like now. We'll exit out of that, and we'll click the W to return to the dashboard. All right, we are very close to done with this website. Thank you all for sticking around if you're still here. Again, check out my WordPress Simplified course on Udemy. It is a full 11+ hour course that dives deeper into all this stuff. But the last thing we'll do before I let you go is we're going to install an SEO plugin, and we're going to improve the SEO or search engine optimization of our website. That's going to help us get more traffic by making sure some of the technical aspects of our website are in place. But what we'll do is come over to plugins and add new plugin. Just as we did earlier, we're going to search for the Yoast plugin, and we will install Yoast and make sure we activate the Yoast plugin. Once it's activated, it'll take you here. In my case, because I checked that box earlier where I deterred search engine robots from crawling my site and indexing it, I'm getting this message. If you uncheck that box, which was inside of Settings, General, towards the bottom, this will go away. And scroll down, we will go through the first time configuration here, super simple. So you're gonna start off by starting SEO data optimization. So it's analyze the site, you can click continue. Now it's gonna ask you about your website, so you can tell it whether you're an organization or an individual. You can do the website name here, an organization name. I'll keep those the same. You can change your logo. This is stuff that'll show up by default if somebody is linking to your site or if your site displays in a search engine, for example. I'll click Save and Continue. It's giving me a little notice there. It's fine. I'm going to continue. So you could fill out your social media stuff here if you have social media. You can also add additional social media profiles. This should say X, not Twitter. Save and Continue. Then it's going to ask you for, if you want to sign up for their newsletter and have the app track you. And now you're done. That's it. So once you've done that, we're going to click Go to the SEO dashboard. So this is just when you click on Yoast SEO from the menu here, and it'll take you here and give you some information. Mostly it's going to ask you to upgrade to Yoast SEO Premium. But what I'll do is show you how to set up your page so that it displays properly as a result on Google. So let's come over to Pages. And let's go with the home page, so we'll click Edit. With the Yoast SEO plugin installed, when I scroll down, it's now going to have this little section here. So for starters, it's going to ask what is the main focus key phrase of this page? What is the main keyword you think people will type into Google to find your website? So in my case, I'm going to type Denver Cafe. Probably Denver Coffee Shop would be more common. But for this example, I'll just type Denver Cafe. And then you're going to see this is what our site currently looks like when it shows up in Google. This is going to be a lot harder to find because there's not really any keywords or anything in here helping Google display your site ahead of competitors. So right here under SEO title, we're going to delete all this. And then we're going to type a new title. So local Denver coffee shop serving. So Denver Cafe is serving locally roasted coffee. Pretty descriptive as to what we are exactly. Then follow that with a separator and then the name of the business. So if you're building a brand, people aren't going to know the name of your business at first, but it's good to put it there at the end so that over time people will recognize it. And then for the meta description, I did this ahead of time, so I'm just going to paste. So Roastera Coffee is a locally owned Denver cafe serving locally roasted coffee. Stop in our coffee shop equipped for remote work. So I've got Denver Cafe in here twice, which is the focus key phrase, and I'm letting people know what the main value is of our business. The coffee is locally roasted. It's got remote work stuff if you want to work from our cafe, etc. So you would have to really analyze your value proposition for your business and try to convey that here in the meta description. So that's pretty much it for Yoast, aside from even normal pages like your home page have a featured image, much like blog pages do. So we are gonna set a featured image because this would show up in social media. So we'll come over here to upload files, and I have created a featured image ahead of time. And I don't think I updated the logo because I was working on it, but that's okay. So I just created a little image there, and then for the alt text, you could type kind of similar to what you typed for the site title. And then click Set Featured Image. So now instead of that little icon that was displaying here before, now we get this nice featured image. So if I were to share this homepage on social media, it would have all this information there, which is a lot better than just whatever the default text is. So I'll click Update. So go through and do that for all your pages. Do it for your blog posts. Do it for any piece of content you can, whatever you have time for, because every little bit helps when it comes to SEO. So I'll click the W to return. So let me just go to Appearance Editor and navigate to Styles. So the styles we've been working with for this tutorial have been under the default style. And if I click on here, and let me click off of here, go to Styles. You'll remember we set everything here with all the different palettes and stuff in the typography. Because we have that Create Block Theme plugin that we downloaded at the beginning of this video, we can basically save these styles as our own style so that if we change the style on accident later or whatever, we can always come back to it. So what I'll do is navigate back to the WP dashboard area. To save the style we created, I'll go to Appearance, Create Block Theme. And you'll see here it says Create Style Variation. Let's rename this to Roastera Coffee. And then click Generate. And you'll see a success message here. And now when I go to Appearance Editor and go over here to Styles, I sounded like Christopher Walken there. If I scroll down, you'll now see this style here called Roastera Coffee, and that is going to have all of our settings there. So that's just a nice little trick. So I'll click Save to make sure that's applied. And let's visit our final site here. And you'll remember we linked this Contact Us button. Now it actually goes to the Contact Us page. And we created our blog. This actually links to the contact page as well. And that's our final 3-page site. All right, so that's it for this video. Hopefully you liked it. If you did, don't forget you can enroll in my 11+ hour WordPress Simplified course on Udemy, where I take a deeper dive into WordPress. You can also subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon and be notified each time I have a brand new tutorial. You can check out any of the links to my resources in the description of the video. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.